Allah will not hold you accountable for what is inadvertent in your oaths, but He will hold you accountable for what you have intended in your hearts. Allah is forgiving and forbearing. Oaths are mentioned here because often people will be, within their speech, they will be saying, Wallahi, Billahi, and speaking in a way that they're swearing oaths constantly without actually needing to swear an oath. So Allah is saying, don't take Allah's name lightly and use an oath to do something unjust. Those who renounce conjugal relations with their wives on oath have a limitation of 4 months. If they reconcile, surely Allah is forgiving and merciful. But if they decide to divorce them, they may do so. Surely Allah hears and knows everything. Meaning, you cannot leave a woman hanging. If you have renounced any physical relations with her, you have a maximum of 4 months to make your decision. Either you take her back and live with her properly as a wife, or you divorce her and let her get on with her own life. Divorced women must keep themselves waiting for 3 menstrual periods. It is not lawful for them to hide what Allah has created in their wombs, if they believe in Allah and the last day. In such cases, their husbands have a right to take them back in that period if they desire reconciliation. So a divorced woman, this is her iddah, her waiting period, 3 months, and then after that she is free to remarry. If, however, she is pregnant, she cannot marry until the child is born, and the father is to take responsibility for the fact that even though he had divorced his wife, that child is his. Women have rights, Allah tells us, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Women have rights similar to those exercised against them in an equitable manner. Meaning, just as men have rights that they can demand from women, women also have the same rights over men, which they should be given. Although men have a status above them, Allah is mighty and wise. So men have a status above women. What does this mean? Does this mean that men are better than women in some way? They are superior than women? They are mightier than women? They are going to be rewarded more in the hereafter? Their charity counts for more, their salah counts for more, their fasting counts for more. Is any of this the case? No, not at all. What this means is they have a degree of responsibility. Does greater status bring with it greater accountability? Yes. The greater your status, the more you're going to answer for. So if men understand this correctly, they will understand, I am going to be accountable for more than her, because I have been given that degree of responsibility. I have to look after, maintain, manage, so I have to be more careful in all of my dealings. And this is the status that has been given. And this is something natural. This is the way that Allah has created men and women, that men have that physical strength, and also in the house they have been given that role of the provider. It's primarily their role to provide. Thus, they are the ones who take on more responsibility as well. Does that mean that a woman can have no management skills or no leadership in her life whatsoever? She can have leadership, she can have management roles, but within the home, she has to accept that her husband has that degree above her. And with it, he has to accept comes more accountability and more care on his part to fulfill his role correctly. Thus, there's no degradation of women in this whatsoever. In fact, it's a natural way. When you have management or companies or institutes, are there 2 CEOs or 1? As far as I know, there's only 1. As far as I've heard, there's always one who is managing and the others answer to that. So we're not talking about a system where the man is managing and commanding everyone what to do. Rather, it's the man is responsible and making sure that things are running sufficiently well. And Allah is mighty and wise. Why these qualities of Allah? That He's mighty. A reminder that you might have been given that degree above women, but there's one mightier than you who is watching and accounting everything that you do. الطلاق مرتان. The pronouncement of revocable divorce is only allowed twice. Meaning divorce, which can be revoked, is twice. The 3rd time, there's no going back. Then she should be allowed to stay with honor or let go with kindness. It is not lawful for you to take anything back which you have given them. Even if you gave the most expensive diamond or greatest, most wonderful jewelry, it is not lawful for a husband to take that back. except when both parties fear that they may not be able to follow the limits set by Allah. Then, if you fear that they both will not be able to keep the limits of Allah, there is no blame if, by mutual agreement, the wife compensates the husband to obtain divorce. This refers to a khula. This is when a woman buys her own divorce. When she requests a divorce from a judge, and the judge tells her that you can buy your freedom from him, you give back your mahr, your dowry, and then you are a free woman once again. These are the limits set by Allah. Do not transgress them, and those who transgress the limits of Allah are the wrongdoers. So, if a husband divorces his wife 3 times, it is not lawful for him to remarry her until after she has married another man. In case he divorces her, there is no blame on either of them if they reunite in marriage, provided they feel that they can keep the limits of Allah. These are the limits of Allah, which He makes clear to the people of understanding. If a husband has divorced his wife 3 times, he cannot remarry her again. 10 years later, he decides that he would really like to be with her again, unless she has remarried, divorced, and then they can remarry once more. These are the limits set by Allah. Some people, they do this deliberately, where they realize, I should not have divorced her, so they set up a fake marriage for the ex-wife, and then they have a divorce, and then they remarry the same person again. There's actually a term for this called halala, making that person lawful for you. And the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever does this themselves and whoever arranges it for someone else, all of these people are cursed by Allah. Who arrange this and who do this. It's a curse of Allah upon such people, because you're making a mockery of the words of Allah.